Hey friends, what is going on? It is Saturday. I was trying to go live earlier in the day while my little boy is at his golf lesson. So I don't know how long this is going to last until he walks in here telling me all about his golf lesson. But before we do that, I'm excited to be live with you guys on a Saturday. I don't think it's anything I've done in a really long time. I am going Coolio. Okay, this is your opportunity to ask your questions about herpes. This is your opportunity to ask about like lifestyle. Ask about what it's like to live with herpes. Ask about some ways to help with herpes outbreaks. Ask about supplements. Ask about all these fun things because there's a lot of ways. So here's the thing about herpes. 2 out of 3 people have HSV1 and 1 out of 6 have HSV2. So what does that mean? So HSV1 is commonly associated with oral herpes and HSV2 is commonly associated with genital herpes. However, either type can go either location. So a lot of times people think like, oh, well, I have HSV1, I have the quote unquote good kind. And there is no good kind, there is no bad kind. In fact, right now, there's a lot of people being diagnosed with HSV1 down there. How did I get it? How did I get herpes? So HSV1, I was 20 years old and I went on a date and my date kissed me goodnight with an oral outbreak with herpes. He had a cold sore and I was like, like kind of like back up against the door. And that's how I got that one. A couple days later, woke up with a big hunkin' sore. I felt awful. I had all sorts of, it was bad. HSV2, I was dating somebody, and when we decided to be intimate, we got to that point in our relationship and decided to go there. We had the conversation. I had been tested. He had been quote unquote tested, but not tested for herpes. So he was never tested for herpes. And so therefore he didn't know that he had it. So that's one of the things that's frustrating is we think that we're tested for herpes. We think we're going in and getting tested. And unfortunately, we're not. So even if we are responsible, sexually active adults, we think that we are being tested. And it's not included in the STI panel. I was recently I was just getting up to date on like, if I wanted to go get tested, how would I? And it's wild because it is very expensive to be tested for herpes. Very expensive. The price is added on and it definitely is added up. So it's something that people don't think they need to do. Or a lot of times, we're just talking about HSV1, a lot of times people don't think, oh, I don't need to get tested for HSV1. That's not an STD. Why would I add extra money on? Well, HSV1 oral, and we do things with our mouth, can go to our partners anywhere we use our mouth. So it's something to really be considered and something that's not talking about it. So do you have a partner? If so, are there boundaries? Yes, I do have a partner. And no, there are not boundaries. So I am married and my husband and I have a pretty normal relationship. And no, there's no boundaries. I mean, I guess if you want to say, are we intimate when I have an outbreak? No. But are you intimate when you have a cold? Probably not. Are you intimate when you have a tummy ache? Probably not, right? So if you consider that boundaries, I guess, but no, I don't have boundaries at this point in a relationship. In other relationships, I had one other relationship and he and I took the antiviral, which is the prescribed medication. I took the antiviral, and that was what we used to do to protect my partner. At this point, my husband and I don't do anything to protect transmission. I do take really good care of my body. I do take supplements. I do take Lysine. I do take Monolaurin. I do take Andrographis. I do take immune support supplements. I take vitamin C. I take vitamin D. And I do what I can. I get sunshine. I ground. I take care of my body. I work on my nervous system, keeping it calm. I do all those things. I eat clean. I eat healthy. So those are the things I do personally to help prevent transmission to my husband. The number one thing I could say that we should do is we should communicate with our partners. So when you feel like you have something going on, so when you feel like there's an outbreak, so when you feel like there's a tingle, when you feel like all of that, you should communicate with your partner. I know it's embarrassing. I know it's something that we're like, oh, I don't really want to have that conversation again. But that's what a relationship is all about. And that's what it is. That's what you want in a relationship, to be able to communicate. Why not the antivirals too, or instead? I was on the antivirals for 3 years, and I got to the point in my life where I really wanted to clean up my health. I was one of those kids that was on antibiotics all the time because that was the era that I was in. Not that I was necessarily a sick kid, but that was the era that I grew up in. And it was I can remember being my senior year in high school, and I was on 18 antibiotics in 1 year. That's a lot, right? I had strep throat 18 times in my senior year. So back to your question about antivirals, once I was diagnosed, I'll answer your question on how I got herpes. And why would we gag? What's the name? What's the gag for? So I got to a point when I was diagnosed with herpes, I was in my late 20s, and I started cleaning up my life, my diet. I realized I thought I was eating healthy, but I wasn't. I thought I was doing the right things, but I wasn't. And so I began, unnecessary antibiotics, thanks. And so I started everything I could to clean up my diet. So anyways, back to the antivirals, what I personally do not doesn't mean that it is something that is right for you, wrong for you. The antivirals work great. They do a great job. They keep the virus dormant in your system. That's great. In fact, if I were in a new relationship, I would, fast forward, if I was in imagination, I'm married, so that's not at all, I'm married, I have a little boy, that's not at all my life right now, but if I were in a new relationship, I probably would go on the antiviral, just because in a new relationship, why throw in another risk factor? So why throw in something else when it's when you're in a relationship, why not just be on birth control? You want to be spontaneous, you want to have fun. Why throw in the concern of the pull and pray or anything like that, right? How did I get herpes? HSV1 oral. I was diagnosed when I was 20 years old. I went on a date. My date kissed me with a cold sore. It was a really big deal at that point to be kissed. I hadn't gone on very many dates. I had boyfriends. I had 2 boyfriends by the time I was 20. One boyfriend was for, I think, 4 or 5 years. So that was a pretty significant relationship. And then I did another guy for 6 months, and then I just broken up. And so this other guy said, let me take you on a date. And he took me on a date, and he kissed me goodnight. And that was a really big deal to me at that point. Anyways, so I guess what I'm trying to say is I wasn't a makeout slut. I wasn't making out with all these people. I went on a date. My date kissed me goodnight. He had a cold sore. That's how I got oral herpes. And I don't say that in a victim way. I'm not oh, poor me. That's just what happened. Genital herpes, I was 28 years old. I was dating someone. I waited a very, very, very long time to be intimate with him. We had the conversation of hey, have you been tested? And of course, we had the conversation, and everyone's yeah, we're good to go. I had just been tested. We were good to go. And his test never included herpes. So there's that. So could you see the cold sore? Yeah, I could see it. I could see the cold sore on him. What soap is good to use? Okay, that's a very interesting thing to talk about, soap. And I'll go back. I know there's lots of other questions. What soap is good to use? I use, how did I just get a violation? Okay, I don't know why I just got a violation from TikTok. Soap that's good to use, in my personal opinion, is something that is organic. I am not a big fan of all these smelly Febreze type smelling soaps. The more organic you can go, the better. I personally use a soap. We have one that we created, but I can't talk about it because TikTok will give me a violation. But I also use anything that is like a few ingredients or less because, again, I don't want to put any of those like extra chemicals or smells down there. So like there's, all these smells. I don't know. That's just me. Did you get side effects from the vitamins that I have when I first, so when I first started the antiviral, I got headaches. The antiviral, one of the side effects for the antiviral, which is prescribed by your doctor, headaches is one of the side effects. I did not get any side effects from supplements. So that is me. But when I did take the antiviral, I got headaches. The headaches eventually went away, so that's something that did I answer your questions on antivirals? Did I answer your question on how I got herpes? Did I answer your question, how often do I take Lysine? It's something I take daily. I don't mess around with it. It's something I take daily. And this is what it looks like. This is the one I use, and it's the one that I don't mess around with. I have tried other brands. I've tried other customers. And this is the one that works the best for me personally. It's the integrity of the company. It's the integrity of the ingredients. It's non-GMO. It's good manufacturing practices. These are all things you want to look at. And as far as including the best ingredients, you can find ingredients anywhere, right? It's like cooking, okay? I was just watching a TikTok on cooking, and I was watching this lady make some cookies, and I watched the ingredients go in the cookies, and I thought to myself, I would never use those ingredients because there's a laundry list of chemicals in those ingredients. When I make cookies, I make them from scratch. That's just me. I guess I judge that. But I'm very, very acute. I guess that's not the word. I'm very, very passionate about good quality, clean ingredients. Coco said, you're okay now. I'm used to them already. Oh, okay, good. Have I seen the herbal book? No, I have not seen the herbal book. Well, I mean, I've heard of herbal remedies and things like that, but no, I have not. So why do I take the lysine? Oh, that's a great question. I have a couple videos on TikTok that explain it. Lysine is an essential amino acid, which means that it is something that our body does not produce, but we have to consume it. We have to get it from external sources. It's really great for collagen production. It's great for tendon repair. It helps us absorb other minerals and nutrients like calcium. It helps with osteoporosis, things like that. It's an essential thing. We get it from foods like meat, so like beef, poultry, fish, specifically fish. Why am I restricted? Guys, I don't know why I keep getting restrictions. It's unbelievable to me. Unbelievable. I don't understand. Okay, so what else is in lysine? So anyways, this is something that's really important for our bodies. What it does is there's another essential amino acid called arginine. Okay, so arginine is also really important. It's great for cardiovascular health. It helps improve our athletic performance. What arginine does is arginine fuels the herpes virus. It helps it replicate. It allows it to replicate at a faster manner. So the reason why you would want lysine opposed to, you want to have a higher ratio of lysine and a lower ratio of arginine, because this is going to help block the arginine from getting into the cells and helping them replicate. We don't want that. We want more lysine, less arginine, okay? Now with that being said, because one of the things I used to think is like, oh, I just won't have arginine in my life. No, you need it. Your body's going to produce it if you don't consume it. You need it because, again, it's for your cardiovascular health. You need it. It's one of the building blocks of who we are. But it's something that we can look at the ratio and say, okay, hey, maybe I've had a lot more arginine in my diet. Like maybe I just had like a peanut butter chocolate smoothie thing, and peanut butter is very high in arginine and chocolate is high in arginine. Then you go, okay, well then I can offset it. So that's personally what I do. I'm not a doctor. If you do have questions, reach out to your medical professional about this. In fact, I'm not going to suggest start taking supplements just because I say it. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. This is my life this is my life with herpes. This is what I personally do and what I have found that it's helped for me. I no longer take the antivirals. It's not something I want to do. I just like to be really, really clean. Can you take the Lysine and antivirals together? Yeah, Lysine they're supplements. Sometimes they're herbs. Sometimes they're minerals, sometimes they're vitamins. Lysine specifically comes from coconuts. So yeah, you can take them together. What's good to eat? People are reporting my live. Yeah, why, guys, if you're not happy with what I'm saying or like I'm offending you, please let me know directly. If there's something I can change, I am here for you, right? I am sharing my life. It's a very vulnerable thing to share my life with herpes. I started doing this in 2017. So I am here for you and I'm here to support you. So if there's something that you personally don't like about what I'm sharing or what I'm doing, I'd really appreciate if you tell me opposed to giving me a violation. What's good to eat? So I just recorded a podcast yesterday that will be on the Life with Herpes podcast, probably in the next 2 weeks. What's good to eat? The way I live my life now is I eat whole foods. When I say that, yes, I shop at Whole Foods, but I eat whole foods. I eat real fruits. I don't eat, things that are manufactured. I eat real ingredients and real foods. If something, I don't have anything here to show you, but if I have something that I don't know how to pronounce the name, or if I look at the back of something, like for example, I love whipped cream. Love whipped cream. One of my favorite things is whipped cream. I whip my own whipped cream. I don't buy Cool Whip. I don't buy the thing where you do that. I don't buy that either. I whip my own whipped cream. I don't buy those because the ingredients is like this long. There's shit in there that I don't need in my body. So again, I cook everything and I am pretty organic. So back to what to eat. I do have that podcast coming out where I get really heated about certain things like Roundup in our foods and all sorts of stuff like that. Specifically, but to answer your question specifically about herpes is high lysine foods. So what are they? They are fish, specifically salmon, and I believe it's sardines. May not be your thing. Codfish as well. Shellfish, which is, I guess, fish. I don't know. It's also, high in lysine. Poultry is high in lysine. Steak is high in lysine. But here's the catch. They also contain arginine. So it's something you need to consider. Potatoes are high in lysine. Avocados are high in lysine. I would say anything that is a whole food, like eat an avocado, eat it. Tomatoes can actually help cause outbreaks. I'll get into that in a second. But eat an apple, eat a pear, eat a prune, eat a plum, eat grapes. Whatever's going to be naturally in its state is going to be beneficial. The things that can hurt us is when we have highly processed foods. So when we have things like a cookie from Costco, who doesn't love the chocolate chip cookies from Costco, right? Like as a kid, I couldn't wait until you'd go to a meeting after school and there would be the chocolate chip cookies. That was the snack day. Like who doesn't love that? I love them. However, all of that has over processed flour that's bleached. It has sugar, and that's hard on your body. I avoid starches that are processed. I avoid sugar. I make my own cookies. I don't know. I'm a whole nother level when it comes to cooking. Did I go too deep? Did I scare you? Salmon, I love salmon. I love salmon too. Is lysine and monolaurin better than just the lysine? Okay, so here's the thing about monolaurin that I love, and I didn't know about this. And here's what's really interesting about it. And as a mommy, I can totally relate. Is there was research done. Why are babies born all over the world? Some are born in a sterile environment in a hospital in the Western world, and some are born out in fields that are in a third world country with no sterile environment. And somehow these babies survive, right? You got babies in the manger with the horses, with the cows, and they're somehow okay. And then you have other babies that, again, are in a sterile, no animal environment. What happens is the mother's breast milk, human breast milk, we're not talking cow, we're not talking goat, we're not talking cat, we're not talking dog, whatever. Mom's breast milk contains what's called lauric acid. Lauric acid, aka monolaurin, they add something to it to become monolaurin. I don't know how that works. But anyways, what it does is it helps boost your immune system. It has antiviral properties. It also has antibacterial properties. And so they found that babies all over the world that were breastfed were able to survive. You're not born with an immune system. So they were able to survive. So monolaurin is something that's used in monolaurin is something that is used in a lot of our organic products as a way to use it as a preservative. But what it does specifically for HSV, because that's obviously why we care about it, is HSV is as an enveloped virus. It has an envelope, it has a shield, it has a cover, like it has things around it that our immune system cannot penetrate. And so what this does, what monolaurin does, like think of this bottle, I can't penetrate it with my hand, right? It's protected. Monolaurin, in an essence, disrupts the outer shell of the enveloped virus so that the immune system can go in and penetrate it. I don't drink lysine or monolaurin. It's a supplement. I follow the recommended, whatever's recommended on there. So monolaurin has recommendations based on female, male, weight, what are you trying to accomplish? So there's all sorts of things on there that you can take based on the recommendation. How often do I have outbreaks? I do not have them often. HSV1, I have had it since 2003. So I've had it for 21 years and I've had 5 outbreaks. My first outbreak was in 2003. My second outbreak was in 2017. So I had a 14-year gap between outbreak 1 and outbreak 2. Since 2017, I've had 4 outbreaks, which is still pretty benign in my opinion. HSV2 is something I've struggled with, and it's something that I go through seasons of having back-to-back outbreaks and then seasons of not back-to-back outbreaks. So it just depends on, really on where I'm at. Anything I can do to calm my nervous system is going to be key. Anything I can do to keep my immune system strong is what I'm going to do. Anything I can do to stay healthy. So that's what I personally do. Guys, am I missing any of your questions? Because I know we went pretty fast. I'm going to have to get off in a second. My little boy is going to be coming into home any minute because he just got home from golf. Does herpes make your lips dry? I don't know. My lips are always dry. But I live in Las Vegas. But I have herpes. So I don't know. Maybe. Oopsies. I think I answered all your questions. How does does caffeine trigger outbreaks? It can in some people. Yeah, caffeine, because here's what caffeine does. It puts your body, so it has there's 2 things. The coffee bean, not the caffeine, but the coffee bean. So if you're talking coffee bean contains arginine. Remember, we talked about arginine. Arginine fuels the herpes virus. It feeds it. It's Miracle-Gro. It allows it to reproduce. So the coffee bean has arginine. Caffeine, on the other hand, puts our body into a state of fight or flight. It's a synthetic state, I guess, because you're not actually in fight or flight. You're just sitting having your coffee on your porch, right? And so when you go into that fight or flight, when your body's in its fight or flight, you're not in the rest and digest state. So you're in this ready to attack. All the blood is pumping to your legs. It's leaving your brain. You're getting ready to run. You're getting ready to attack. Even though, like I said, you're just sitting on your patio, like just listening to the birds chirp in the morning. So if you keep yourself caffeinated at all times, you're always going to be in the high alert state, and your body can't rest and digest. So if you can't rest and digest, then your body, when you're in the heightened state, it's not focusing on herpes. It's focusing on, like, literally there's a tiger coming at me. What do I need to do? When you're in rest and digest, your body can say, oh, look at that little HSV virus popping up in my body. Let me go fight it, right? Or, oh, I got a bacterial infection trying to pop up. Let me go fight it. Or, oh gosh, Alexandra just rubbed her eye and there's bacteria on her finger, and oh, let's try and fight that so she doesn't get pink eye, right? When you're in the heightened state, your body is like, I'm ready to fight. So does that answer it? What was your question, Trent? I didn't see it or I missed it. Oh, how does your husband deal with it? So when we first started dating, we had really other things to discuss, not herpes. He's someone I had known for a long time, and we were colleagues. So we had way bigger fish to fry with dating than herpes. And I think that's a really important part to bring up, because we, with herpes, believe that this is the biggest deal in the entire world. And let me tell you, when you are married, you have way bigger things that you need to discuss as a partnership. So I'm not downplaying herpes conversations. I'm not downplaying the importance that it plays in a relationship, in the infancy of a relationship. What I'm trying to say is it should be your easiest, hardest conversation you have with your partner. If it's a obviously it's a hard conversation to start, but if the conversation is hard with your partner, that's not a good sign, right? So with my husband, it was just one of those things like, yeah, I know you have herpes, because he knew I had herpes. And he's like, yeah, I know. What do I need to know about it? And basically his answer was, I love you. I want to be with you. And so that's part of it, just part of it. So that's kind of how it went. Did it affect my pregnancy? No, it did not. I was able to get pregnant. I was able to carry the baby safely. It had no impact on pregnancy. The concern is during delivery. I do have a great podcast on it with my doctor on lifewithherpes.com or on the Life With Herpes podcast, where my doctor and I interview my doctor at 9 months pregnant, and we talk about all of that stuff. So it is a very great podcast where it goes into it. The concern is delivery, and so making sure the mom doesn't have an outbreak during delivery. And that's something I'd really talk about, getting on the same page with your doctor. That's what you want to do. You guys can talk about herpes and other things. I know he's the one for me. That's awesome. Do I take Lysine daily? I do. You're responsible and tell your husband you have herpes. That's awesome. Yes, thank you. You're welcome. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me Saturday. Like I said, I don't go live on Saturdays often, just because I'm a mommy and it's time with my husband, but I wanted to be here with you. So have an awesome day. Please let me know what questions you have. I will probably be live tomorrow, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.